is the moment that we've been all waiting for the last 2 hours of our live stream. I'm on with Terri Lubaroff and the amazing creators behind our next project in development. Terri, I'm going to turn it over to you so that you can introduce everyone and talk about this awesome new Legion M project.
That's awesome, Taylor. I feel like we need a drum roll. I am so excited about this. Everybody, drum roll, please. I'm super excited about this project. It's the next film we're going to be putting into production. And as you guys know, we're in development on a lot of different things, and projects come together in different ways. And you know, every single project has their own timeline. And we're excited about this one because this one has a quicker timeline than most. I believe it's coming together very, very quickly. And it's near and dear to our hearts. It's based on a true story. It's a thriller. It was co-written by Sharon Cobb, who is here, and Warren Skeels. Yay, Sharon and Warren. And it's going to be directed by Warren. And Anne Marie Gillen and I are going to be producing it. And we're just beyond thrilled about this project. And to be working with this lovely and amazing team. And guys, Warren, you want to say hi?
Well, yeah, hello, everybody. I just want to say, first off, how refreshing it is to be working with the three of you on this project. I have such admiration and respect for each of you. You're so uberly talented in your craft and what you bring to the project. So I am absolutely thrilled to be working with you guys on this. And ecstatic that the Legion is now, you know, offering its wings to this project and moving us forward. It's amazing.
Well, we're so excited to be doing it, not just because it's a great project, but also, fun fact, as my 10-year-old likes to say, fun fact, Warren is a Legion M investor. So to be able to support our investors is just, it's thrilling. So why don't you guys each take a second and give us a little bit of a taste of your background and what brings you here today, and then we'll announce. We haven't said the title of the show yet, of the movie yet, and I'll let Warren do the honors.
Sure, Sharon, you want to go first?
No. No, you go first because you started this, Warren.
Oh man. What you want to know? You know what brought me around this planet a couple times. All right. Well, I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. I went to a performing arts high school. I'm definitely a self-proclaimed theater nerd, and I took that education further into college, and I got a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Theater at the University of Southern Cal. And of course, during that time, all I wanted to do while I was working in a conservatory was go over to the film school, because I started noticing that that's kind of where my heart was leaning toward. But I couldn't take any classes because it didn't work into my schedule. So I ended up having to actually talk to the professors and go and audit the classes that I could sit in on. And so I ended up auditing like 5 or 6 different filmic writing classes and a business and distribution procedures class, and combining that with, you know, the education in theater of just working as a director with talent, or being talent, working with a director, working with choreographers, set design, lighting design, wardrobe, costume. All of that ended up just becoming this solid foundation for me that I took into a career in filmmaking afterward. I started a company called Tiger Lily Media with a near and dear friend of mine that Sharon knows very well, Brenda Cobb. And we grew the production company from just the two of us as a producing directing team to a full-fledged production and post house over the following 13 years. And we produced 4 different feature films during that period of time, 2 documentaries, 2 narratives, a slew of national spots and specialty projects. What's interesting is I discovered while working there and owning the company and seeing the company grow, that I started losing myself in the company, and found that I was much more better suited to be project driven rather than company driven. And 5 years ago, when I kind of came to this epiphany, I decided to walk away, and I sold my shares in the company to my partner and started Skeels Films to work entirely on creative entertainment products. I really wanted to focus in on thrillers and true crime and horror realms. So naturally, my first project out of the gate ended up being a reality show for MTV called Siesta Key. Naturally. But I wouldn't have it any other way, because it's been such a fun journey, and it's actually given me the ability to develop in my downtime between seasons, plenty of time to work on other projects, to work on scripts. And that's how this project, was developed.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We are lucky to have you driving the bus, so to speak, or driving the van.
Oh,
A good one. Driving the van. Nice.
Warren's the man in the van.
Way to go.
Should we announce the title?
Did you just announce the title?
I didn't just formally announce it. Sharon, do you want to tell us what the title of the project is?
The Man in the White Van.
That's no joke.
Beware. Yeah. This is, what's interesting, Warren, you and I have known each other for a long time, and I didn't know a lot of those things about you. Now there are things that make sense. I think, yes. Yes, good. But I also started out in Jacksonville, and I owned an advertising agency and some other businesses. Retired when I was 31 to Key West and became an artist. And I had a neighbor who was well, there were a lot of writers there in Key West, but one of my neighbors was a writer, and he inspired me to start writing fiction. And his name was Tennessee Williams. And for people who don't know who that is, he wrote Streetcar Named Desire and Cat on the Hot Tin Roof and all that. Yeah, he was quite a character. And so from there, I moved back to Jacksonville for a couple of years to start some other businesses. And then I got really over the business thing and went to LA for 8 years and started my, screenwriting career, and really enjoyed it. I got some films made. I sold a bunch of projects. You know how that is, where you sell Ziggy, quiet, please. Quiet on the set. Okay, sorry. My little puppy, my COVID puppy is all mad and wild. But so I think the last feature I had made was a horror film called June with Casper Van Dien and Victoria Pratt. Yeah, exactly. And I've also write books. I wrote a book called False Confessions of a True Hollywood Screenwriter. And that's what kind of adventures in Hollywood. And now I live in Florida. I still write. I still get movies made. And I'm delighted to be working with Warren, and very excited about working with Legion M. I mean, oh my God. I've been, full disclosure, I've been watching your celebration, your 5-year celebration, and you guys were, I'm going like, oh, this is going to be great, because it's so hard to find really interesting, good people to work with in Hollywood, and you're it.
Well said, Sharon.
That's amazing, Sharon. Thank you. Anne Marie, you have such an amazing background too. I mean, this team is fabulous. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. I'm sitting here now in Minneapolis, which is getting 3 inches of snow right now. Luckily, it won't last that long, but I hail from Minneapolis and I'm a theater nerd too, just like Warren. You know, I went to college as an actress. I got out. I decided I wanted to be a dancer. I studied intensely and got into a dance company here, Minnesota Jazz Dance Company. Children's Theater had a company, did stuff at the Guthrie, and just kind of hit a ceiling here, and just one winter decided it was time to either move to New York or LA. And because it was winter, I chose LA and didn't have any contacts, no job, $500 in my pocket, clothes in the back seat, and I drove out. And so I really had to I didn't have the luxury of going to film school of any kind to learn it. And I just had to kind of learn it really scrappy in the streets. And one of my first jobs was with a company that called Hemdale, and they should have been another New Line or Miramax. And the 3 years I was there, I started out as just an executive assistant secretary, ended up as a VP, but we won, I don't know, about 12 Academy Awards, Platoon, Hoosiers, Last Emperor, Salvador, etc. And so, you know, when you're in the midst of something like that, you don't know you're right on the cutting edge of the best of the indie film world. One of the most interesting things, though, that I learned there, and this is when I started learning about producing and the business side of things, because I was a total creative, obviously, as an actress and a dancer, choreographer, was that 50% is the creative and the making of the project, and the other 50% is the marketing and the distribution. And this is why Legion M is so brilliant, because they really focus heavily on that as well. And so when I left, I kind of used their business model and started my first company, and was successful in putting the financing together. And I financed my first movie, if you could believe. Fried Green Tomatoes was my first movie. So
not a bad way to come out.
Not a bad way, yeah, right? Just like
a beautiful film.
Again,
by the way. An absolutely beautiful film.
You know, you make one like that and you can die happy, you know, basically, because that really does and says it all. But it really set a tone for my creative career side of things, because I really wanted to touch, move, and inspire. And really learning to trust your gut creatively, because nobody would finance that movie, although everybody said it was brilliant and wonderfully written, and you'd read it and laugh and cry. But, oh, it's a woman's story. Oh, it's got the period piece. Oh, it's got the race issue, you know. So, but sometimes you just got to trust your gut and roll the dice. And I'm really happy I did. And then after that, I met Laurie McCreary, and she was just launching her company with Morgan Freeman,
Wow.
Revelations Entertainment. So I joined them in launching their company for the first 5 years, and I was chief operating officer over there, and really launched them mainly in the international scene, because they hadn't really dealt with that much, and brought Morgan and Laurie to Cannes a couple of times and put some really smart development financing deals together. And from there, I left and started my own company, Gillen Group, and again, really honed in on focusing. You know, it's a new term, somewhat new term now, and it's really catching on, called social impact entertainment. And we'll talk, I'll kind of dovetail back to that in just a minute. But I really enjoy, you know, hitting a number of important issues and areas, making sure they're great storytelling, entertainment, but really move people from apathy to empathy and into action. So that's kind of what I'm all about now. That's me.
I love it.
I have to say, this is so much fun just to have this conversation. And like you said, Sharon, like learning a little bit about each of us, because, you know, even in all the conversations we've had, they're always usually, you know, we're so pressed for time. We're trying to get to the point. We're trying to, you know, get that action item ready to go for the next meeting so we can accomplish that, you know, there's all this kind of space in between that we, you know, haven't really been able to share. So it's really nice to hear.
It's amazing. And that's a great segue to talk about Man in the White Van, which is both a woman's story and a period story. Warren and Sharon, can you tell us a little bit about the film?
Yeah, so our story is framed, for those of you out there in Legion M land, our story is framed around the horrific activities of a convicted serial killer who operated in Florida in the 1970s and early 80s. It is true crime, thriller, suspenseful period piece, and it takes place in a sleepy small family town in rural Florida in 1974, when an ominous white van begins stalking a 14-year-old girl, our hero, Beth, who is navigating, the waters of junior high. She loves horseback riding, cheerleading, and desperately wants to kiss a boy before she turns 15, which she wants nobody to know. But she has a major character flaw. She is prone to exaggeration and telling tall tales. So when she finally works the courage up to talk to her parents about what's happening to her, they don't believe her. And this disbelief isolates Beth and ultimately sets her up for a terrifying Halloween nightmare.
Ooh.
Well said, Warren.
I just got goosebumps.
Yeah, you should. You've read the script. One of the things that really, when Warren came to me with this idea, one of the things that really, I sort of specialize in thriller and horror, that sort of thing. So I could see the potential of that right away. But I think one of the things that intrigued me almost even more was there's a family at the heart of this, and it's a coming of age story. And it's set in a small town in Florida where, I grew up in a small town in Florida. I used to be a cheerleader. That's really almost embarrassing now to say, but anyway, so our main character is a cheerleader. So there were a lot of little, extra things, sort of like little lines that went from my past life to this story. And I really, love that. And also, for a thriller to be based on a true life story, that's pretty unusual. So I thought, and this was a time, what Warren said in 74, I believe this is a time before the FBI knew or had a label for serial killers.
Mm-hmm. They were working with the idea of, I think they were calling them sequence killers at the time. And certainly anybody who's watched David Fincher's Manhunter would, which is excellent, does a very solid job of portraying that time period where they're just trying to figure it out and coming to terms with the idea of serial killers. I think one of the themes that I really like about the story and what we kind of stumbled on in the process is that it's, there's this theme of listening and really hearing somebody. And I think that's really kind of telling of today and what's happening in our world. And where, in this story, it's, it can, when we don't hear somebody, truly hear them, and they need help, what ends up being the result? What are the circumstances, and in our case, tragic circumstances that can lead to? So that was something that I think really kind of touched me about the idea of this film.
And also the whole theme of innocence being shattered by evil. Just the little town where I grew up, nothing really bad ever happened. The biggest deal was a fight after school behind the gymnasium, or something like that. That was it. And that was sort of the same thing in this small town where this story really did happen. It was, I think that's one of the reasons that the parents didn't really believe her so much, is that, and there were, I love that the mom had this kind of attitude, nothing bad ever happens here. And that really, created a box around her so that she really couldn't help so much, because that's what she believed and that's what she wanted everybody to believe, and that's what she wanted to happen. That's not what happened.
Everyone, I've got a quick question for you. So Terri, we have some artwork that has been put together for Man in the White Van. Is that something I can show on the stream?
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. I'm going to bring that up right now. There we go. So now the audience can see the fabulous art that is in progress at this point. So would you like? So I'm not sure if I can show exactly it to everyone here who's on the Zoom right now, but everyone who's watching at home can now see it.
I was waiting with gusto
seeing
to see
I know
this.
you guys aren't going to be able to see it. I could change the setup around so that you can look at it if you'd like to describe it.
I've got it stuck on my one
It's
of my
right behind you.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's right behind me. Right.
No, I love it.
That's awesome. Well, it's called Man in the White Van. It's based on a true story. And there are a lot of reasons why I sparked to this script. Warren and Sharon, you know, as a development executive at a company that's pretty public facing, you can imagine we get hundreds of scripts to read every year. And it is a rare privilege to read something that is not only beautifully written and realized, but also takes a genre which we're all really familiar with and kind of turns that genre on its head in a way that makes it feel completely fresh and new. And I just have to tell you both that that's what this script did for me. And I was so proud to bring it into my colleagues at Legion M. And when they all had the same reaction I did, I was like, okay, we have something here. This is a project we have to work on.
That's amazing. That's awesome. I mean, I remember calling you initially with, by the way, you were my first call, simply from a standpoint of, okay, I feel like I could take this to Terri, and Terri could help me kind of navigate where this might be a good fit for. So my wildest dreams, I never thought it was actually, the fit would actually be Legion M. I just thought, I thought you were going to steer me into, you know, this is, you know, you really ought to send it to these folks because they're looking for this material right now, or, you know, my friend over at whatever would probably love something like this. So it's been just, you know, a great journey so far. And, you know, having this become a Legion M project is pretty extraordinary.
I would just add to that from you know, my point of view, just to give you a different angle of this. You know, I don't specialize in horror, as you know I said earlier, but I saw I think Get Out might be a similar comp to this. And if you look up Get Out, you know, the genres are mystery, thriller, horror. Mm-hmm. So for me, you know, the focus was really strongly on incredibly well-written characters that you sympathize with, the woman's point of view, young girl's point of view, and that there was a really strong social impact around this. And that's really, as I said, been my focus. And I'm a member of the Producers Guild, and I actually started a task force there called the Social Impact Entertainment Task Force, and recently was successful in putting a partnership together with United Nations on key issues.
Congratulations.
Great job.
It's amazing.
Which is, of course, violence against women. So this has, you might, if you're in the finance world at all, you'll hear terms like double bottom line, triple bottom line. This has a really strong double bottom line, which is, you know, the ability to, you know, make money because it is that Get Out comp, mystery, thriller, a little bit of horror aspect. Plus, you know, we're going to allocate some of our profits to nonprofit victims fund. So I don't even know if I can do this. If any of the listeners have nonprofits or victims funds or organizations you think would really be worthy of us looking at, please, you know, let us know. I hope that was okay to say.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're gonna be looking at all the funds and vetting it, and we'll make a decision that's right for the film, like thematically, which fund we might support. But it's definitely a huge part of this because this was you know, it's based on a real story, and there are real victims of this person. And without getting into too many details, we want to honor the idea that women should be heard. Any victim should be heard, men, women, anybody. So it's an important aspect of what we're doing as we go into production. So Thank you for that, Anne Marie. And with that, can I say we've entered into soft prep on this project?
Let's do it.
Yay! Woo!
We're putting together the financing. That's what we're working on right now. Warren is working on storyboards. We're budgeting. We'll be starting the casting process soon, and we don't know exactly when we're shooting yet, but I will say it's definitely going to be in 2021.
I like that.
Really?
So,
wow.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey,
Wow.
newsflash, Sharon.
For you, Sharon. I love it.
I didn't know.
It's happening.
Warren, why don't you tell me these things?
So, Warren, how's the process going for you so far? Is there anything you think the Legion should know?
How's the practice?
The process.
Oh, the process.
Yeah.
It's going well. I mean, we're storyboarding, we're polishing the screenplay, and kind of going through the beginning stages of finding locations that are going to appropriately fit. Which as we've talked about, sometimes tax credits have a say in matters, whether it's in Florida or Georgia or Louisiana or Saskatchewan. We will find the right location for this film.
Florida doubling as Saskatchewan.
There you go.
Actually, to be honest, isn't Australia like the place to film right now?
Yeah.
Like all of Hollywood's heading to
Yeah,
Australia.
Australia, New Zealand, everybody's over
I
there.
love New Zealand. I've
Yeah,
been there
and-
9 times, my late husband
Yeah.
was a Kiwi.
You can't
Yeah,
move in
New
to say you are.
Zealand. New Zealand. Yep.
Awesome. Well, I said there were 2 reasons why I like this project. The second reason was more personal. I grew up in a really small town in Ohio.
Oh.
And it was the kind of, in the 70s and 80s, it was the kind of town where my mom would open the door at 7:00 in the morning and say, go have fun, just be home by dinner. But the rule was, and I'm not kidding you, if a white van starts to approach you, run. And that was the rule in my house. My parents taught me to be very street smart and be aware of my surroundings. And so the title of this picture,
Oh
The
my
Man in the White Van,
That's
is
crazy.
it's crazy to me.
Oh
And
my gosh.
I'm sure that's like something like this is where that rule came from.
I'm sure. It's funny because Sharon, you were talking about kind of growing up in a small town, and Terri, you had that same experience. When I was 10 years old, I was riding my bike to and from school, and it was 5 miles away. I had to cross some smaller little county roads and things like that, but fear never crossed my mind. I felt safe as can be the whole time. I mean, the only thing I worried about was getting hit by a car in an accident. And it was the same every day. And then one day I was riding home and I noticed a car kind of turn a corner and follow. And it followed me all through the back roads, all the way home. And I remember trying to make the decision of whether I pull into my driveway so they knew where I would live, or if I just continued riding along. And ultimately, I pulled up, I just threw the bike, jumped my gate, went in, unlocked the back door. I was a latchkey kid, so there's nobody home. I shut the door, I got inside, and the car just kind of drove off. And I remember standing there just like shaking in the doorway. And I distinctly remember that was the first time in my life where I felt fear.
Wow.
And there's a moment in our script that is I like called upon all of that history and brought into that moment. So I hope that I can emulate that in a way when it comes to directing the film, to really capture that essence of the first time somebody faces a profound fear.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I didn't know that, Warren. I don't think you ever told me that.
I don't tell you everything, Sharon.
I thought you did.
No. I can't believe I didn't tell you to start a tentative start date idea, or that we were going into production. That's pretty funny. Are you sure I didn't tell you? Are you making fibs?
No, I'm not fibbing, really. I'm not
Okay.
really. No, but you have told me a lot of positive things. I mean, a lot of positive things have been happening really fast here with this. I mean, you all know how normally this is. It's like, okay, yeah, we buy the script, and then all this development happens, and development, and then finally, oh well, okay, so we'll set the date for 2 years from now, and but this is fast. This is great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Well, it's because
Thank
you
you,
guys
Sharon.
wrote an amazing script.
That's right.
It's
That's right,
all
Sharon.
starts on
Good,
the
Warren. Good, Warren.
Good, Sharon.
Warren's
No,
my favorite
I wanted
writer.
to, when the idea was presented to me, and I was actually talking to a friend about an entirely different project, about this Phoenix serial shooter project in this book that I had optioned and was really eager to develop. And this was my go-to project. And his wife was listening to the conversation, and she just leaned in and said, "So you're really passionate about true crime and serial killers?" And I was like, "Well, yeah." And she said, "Oh, well, I've got a story for you." And as she started unpacking the story that she was had firsthand knowledge of, it really just sent chills up my spine. And as a father myself, it was horrifying and disturbing. And at the same time, I thought this could make a thrill ride of a movie. So my first call after that was to Sharon, because I've known Sharon for many years, and she had written another screenplay called Envy, which I think is actually going in production as well, right?
Yeah, I just got a call from the director just about an hour ago, and they're looking at Canada now. So I don't know.
Oh, that conversation is going to continue.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I called Sharon because she had written this other screenplay that there were a lot of elements in it that I loved, and I thought that she had the right mindset for this and would make a great writing partner on it. So she was my first call, and we had many breakfasts and coffees before we were forced to meet by Zoom.
Yeah, well, you're my favorite writing partner. I've had a few, including Bill Kelly, who wrote Witness. Are
you sure you want to say that on this Zoom?
I'm
so honored, Sharon.
I know. I'm going to go out there and say yes, because I mean it's true. I tell the truth. I just tell the truth.
Well,
thank you, Sharon.
we're almost out of time. It's such a pleasure to be able to talk to you guys about this film. We are so honored and excited to help bring this to life. And for those of you who are Legion M investors, you're going to get a little perk in your inbox tomorrow, and that is a private link to a Rip-O-Matic trailer that we have done for the film to give you a little taste of the tone of what the film is going to be.
Oh, they're going to get to see that.
So if you're an investor, you get a private link for that.
Very exciting.
Yeah, which Warren and the editor worked very hard on. It's really fantastic. So
that's great.
We're super excited about this. We'll keep everybody up to date. This is incredibly exciting for Legion M in particular, because this is the first production where we're really in charge of putting that production together. So every time we have an opportunity to involve the Legion, we will be taking advantage of that. And in the past, we've had to go through so many approvals, and you can't do that because, and this time, if it works for the production, we'll be doing it. So if you have questions, we're happy to answer them. And as we get started on this journey, we are just over the moon.
That's great. Thank you to everybody at Legion M. Yeah, I mean, you guys are just
rock stars.
Yeah, rock stars. Yeah.
There's like the Marvel universe, and I feel like there's now the Legion M universe.
Yeah. That's
I
right.
like that.
All right, well, thank you for having us.
Yes,
thank you guys so much. Really appreciate your time tonight. And Taylor, you want to talk us off? You're so good at that.
Absolutely. I was waiting for, I've just been waiting here for my cue. I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you guys so much for being here. It's amazing. And especially everyone in the chat who's watching are also very appreciative. I have a number of questions and comments saved if you happen to have a quick moment to answer one or two questions. Let's see. The first one comes from Diversely Geek, and she wants to know, how do you decide what projects are meaningful to you and what should be told?
Wow, that's a big question. I mean, but okay, so it's like Warren was talking about. It's what is the theme? What is the theme? What does it say? You know, and it's about the characters as well. And it really makes a difference in this particular case, that it was based on a true life story. I mean, it's not just like, oh, let's make up this thing. It's based on a true life story. So theme for me is it speaks to a lot of, you know, choices I make in what I write. Warren?
I would concur with that.
Yay.
Anne Marie, what about you?
For me, I really try to just read, and it has to move me somehow. I have to laugh, I have to cry, I have something. Okay, it can't just be too intellectual or explosions and nonsensical or anything like that. It's just really got to touch me. And when after it does that, then I kind of put more of a business hat on as to, you know, would I know how to make this? Is this something that has, like you call it, a theme? For me, it's more of a social impact aspect to it, you know, so that I could, I mean, we have such little time on this earth. I want to spend my time, you know, touching, moving, you know, inspiring people into doing something or action, or starting that conversation, or coming out of the theater or the movie screening room, whatever, you know, and really talking with each other and engaging in something, and that it stays with you. So those are the elements that are most important to me.
Amazing. So this one comes from Dennis Riddle. He says, this is going to be an amazing film. Can't wait. Will you be hitting local crew? I assume he means hiring local crew, not with a van.
Yeah, local. Where's he in if it's local?
Yeah. Where is he?
Where is he local to?
I'm not sure. Dennis Riddle, if you're still watching, are you where are you located? So we can paradrop this film into that town.
Well,
You're definitely looking for local crew in Saskatchewan.
We don't know where we're filming yet to say where, you know, yes, we would hire as many local people as possible in order to get as much impact on the tax credits. But as we said earlier, we're looking at Florida and Georgia and Louisiana, et cetera. So until we pick that, we don't know what the local is.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think he's in Los Angeles. He's just saying right now. So.
You know, it's funny, Anne Marie, you're going back to what kind of motivates you to make a film, feeling something, moving something, you know, moving. I feel very strongly about that, because it's all about moving an audience. And so that's actually like my slogan on my website, skeelsfilms.com, is let's move an audience.
Oh, wonderful.
Nice.
That's exactly, love it.
Fabulous.
And all right, Taylor, back to you.
Thanks, Warren. Let's go. Let's check in with Michelle with the weather. Okay, so the last question, I guess it's more of a comment, comes from one of our dear friends, El Camino Conkling, who donated or not necessarily donated, but brought one of his cars to be in one of our last projects, Arch Enemy. And since this is also
do we want to say what kind of picture car we're looking for?
Well, he says
he totally said.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, what's the question first?
Well, he said, I used to drive a white van like that.
Oh!
So just like that.
Matt, you still have it?
I know, that's what I was thinking. So you never know. But I guess I was going to turn this into more of a question where it's, do you think that there will be opportunities for the Legion to get involved with the production in certain aspects, whether it be, you know, even something like, bringing their own car to set or something, or getting involved in the film?
Yeah.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, the challenge for production is we have COVID protocols to deal with. So whatever we can do inside of those COVID protocols, we will be doing. but Matt Conkling, who is the most amazing picture car donor in the history of all projects. Thank you so much.
He's legendary. I've heard all about him, and
I have
never
told
met him.
Warren about you. We needed it's a 1973 Ford Ecoline van, right?
Yeah.
So if you have a line on a 1973 white Ford Ecoline van, drop a line to team@legionm.com because we need to know about that.
And bonus points if it's actually operational.
Yeah. I like what you were just onto there about having your Legion M members involved. I wrote a film that got made in Britain a few years ago, and there were 500 investors. And what they did was they did 2 scenes where they had 500 extras, and they've invited the investors to be the extras in a ballroom scene and a wedding scene. And they loved it. And they were the best extras ever because they were just like, so. I love the idea of getting everybody involved.
It takes a team, that's for sure.
Awesome, guys. Thank you so much again for coming on and talking with everyone in the community. We really appreciate it, and it's been awesome. And we can't wait for Man in the White Van. It's going to be so cool. So how about this? In the spirit of other project announcements, and as we are looking back through the windows of time when it comes to Legion M, how about we play another fun announcement for a previous film many years ago that some of you might remember as we say goodbye to the illustrious crew and creators of Man in the White Van. Thank you guys so much for coming on.
Thank you, Taylor. Bye,
Thank you,
Terri.
Taylor.